What up, Nerd Report? This is Lewis here with the Sunday edition of the night PM Los Angeles time quarantined nerd chat, nerd talk, whatever we call it. We got a packed panel. We got a new person here, Star Wars only. We're going to pop his cherry right after this.
Oh, boy.
This. It's not triggering. This. Oh man, I had that button ready right on cue. It was gonna go in so cool, but hey, we got that oh boy thing in there. I want to welcome Longa. How you doing, man?
All right, man. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
You had that epic interview in the morning. We'll talk about that. Man, Max kicking ass
all the time.
You look clearer than you,
especially when Jeffrey gets on.
I
said it once already.
He may not come in. I don't know. You're gonna talk about Star Wars Episode 9. You finally saw it, and we have a newcomer. A guy that before we went on, he couldn't stop talking about how great his content was and how and how he understands how people love his stuff when they ask for his autograph and stuff. Just kidding. Here's someone I'm really a big fan of. Star Wars only. Welcome to the Nerd Report.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And like you said, my documentaries are arguably some of the best that have ever been made in the Star Wars. What do we call ourselves? Community, fan, pieces of shit. I don't know, but yeah, we're up there. My Phantom Menace documentary is the creme de la creme. I literally couldn't pronounce the word interpreted or interpretation, so I invented a word called interpretated, and now 1.4 million people have seen me fuck that up. Gotta love it.
Fine, no one's perfect.
You know what's a trick to YouTube? Is mispronouncing things and people correct you in the comments and you get more engagement. That's true. People do that on purpose because like then like it's this, you idiot, and they get some more comments because people like to correct people.
Typos are big. Are big. People have orgasms when they see typos. I don't know why.
I don't know. I have too much pride to mispronounce words.
Bro, but
you
you
don't do it on purpose.
Author, man. You're like a book author. You have like one of bestseller on Amazon.
Bestseller, yeah.
Hey, do me a favor, pimp that shit on the comments once in a while, so people could they have free time read your book. And also we have Stanley Thornton. Stanley Thornton, if you look him up on Amazon, he's in the comments. When we were starting this channel, he helped fund it. A big chunk of this channel is here because of Stanley, and I have eternal loyalty to him. He has a book series called He Walks with Dragons. It's a series. Check that out on Amazon as well. Maybe you and Longa could team up or something. You guys are very cool. I think you'll get along very well. Cool. So before let's just nothing formal. Star Wars only. We just talk shit. I don't know. The topics. I have a few topics, but feel free to bring them all in. It doesn't really matter. There's no real format. Just trying to, waste another. What quarantine day are we on? 17.
I think it's 17 out of 15, and hopefully by day 15 we'll have a real grasp of what's going to happen in the next future. Because my God, what an odd time we live in.
Yeah. Well, I'm grateful to have you guys to talk to me, and I'm grateful to have spend a little bit more time with my family. You kind of realize that sometimes you become a workaholic, and now you're forced to stay home. And we're blessed here in LA. There's a lot of rain, so I'm happy with that. So that's kind of cool. Let's start off with you, Mad Max. So I'm very curious about this. You boycotted Star Wars Episode 9: The Rise of Skywalker for some reason.
Yeah. Yes. No, many reasons.
Okay.
I won't get into that. Okay,
I'm an Access Media shill, so I have to speak nicely.
Yeah,
shill.
I'll try to behave. I'll try to behave.
Nah, just kidding. Hey, constructive criticism is cool, but calling people names doesn't make sense. But if you don't like something, everyone's encouraged to say, "Hey, I don't like this," so maybe they'll correct it for the next one.
Unless there are new people on the show like Star Wars only, then you can call
Star Wars only.
You can call me anything you want. I take no offense to this. I've been called Fandom Menace. I've been called shill. I've been called OT Purist. You name it.
You like that
I've
last
been called
one,
you can call me OT Purist all day, and it's actually going to make me hard. Like I like being called that. Like
someone
called me an insufferable
in the comments.
Yeah.
Star Wars only. Could you please follow me on Twitter so we could? I'll follow you back and we'll chat. Have you on here more because I'm an OT guy. I really feel that the magic in the original movies has never been duplicated.
You're taking the words out of my mouth.
There was just
Mandalorian
magic
is the point, but the movie wise, there hasn't been a good Star Wars film since 1983, and you're never going to make me change my opinion on that. Like not a single Star Wars film has been as good as the 1983 one.
Hey, Robert.
Star Wars only is the youngest boomer in history, just so you guys know.
What's up,
yes,
Robert?
That is very
Robert.
true.
How you doing? We have another guest here, Robert. How you doing, man?
Mr. Garcia, welcome back, buddy.
He doesn't even have his headphones on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I have I have the fancy in-ear monitors.
Oh, look at this guy.
Oh my gosh, dude. Look at all that.
Look at this guy. He's one step
you're
away
really
from
taking
TV.
care of your crew, Lewis.
He is. He pays very well.
What do I gotta do to get on this gravy train?
Robert, real quick, I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine. I've known him for years. Star Wars only.
Hey, Star Wars only. How you doing, brother?
Pretty great, man. Yeah, me and Lewis, we go back to the I think the mid 90s actually. 70s. Oh boy, yeah. God, I remember the 70s. Y'all thought this coronavirus was bad. I remember the Nam War, and geez, the AIDS epidemic of the 80s, and then God help us when that 90s happened, and then all the indie motherfuckers came out of the woodwork. That was a time.
You know what the sad part is we're laughing. People listening could listen to his voice and really believe all that bullshit. That's the sad part.
I was born a day before the Phantom Menace came out.
Wow.
I don't know a goddamn thing about anything before that.
Okay, so let's get Max. Your review.
Okay,
You don't have to get too deep.
No, I'll do a quick one because we did a whole stream, and I am going to do the watch party. But basically, I talk about other people being flip floppers. I flip flopped on the Last Jedi. I thanked Rian Johnson for killing off Luke in that one because I don't want to see him go in this one. This one was oh boy, ugh. I just had so many issues with it. I didn't like the plot twists, the conveniences of everything. I like superpowered Jedi and Sith, but it was ridiculous with the Emperor shooting beams and ships coming up everywhere and then things happening and being undone the next few minutes. I didn't like any of the new characters. I liked Lando a lot. I think Lando should have stuck with it as soon as he appeared on screen. I actually liked the best part for me was Harrison Ford coming back, and I didn't think I was going to like that at all. I thought that scene really worked. The Leia scenes worked to a point, the best they could given the situation until her death, and I didn't like that. There's just so much. It's a mixed bag. I'm not mad though. I'm not mad. I moved past wanting a great sequel to the OG characters, and I tempered my expectations, and I wanted a good send off to the new characters, and I was disappointed for the new characters, honestly.
Yeah.
So
hey, everyone watching, there's not that many of you right now, but please press like and share this because obviously I'm thinking notifications didn't go out.
No, right.
It's
yeah,
awful.
they haven't been. It's been bad. I mean,
in that case, F it. Coronavirus, virus, corona.
I'd be careful.
Virus,
COVID-19.
There. Screw this shit, man. I'm so sick of this.
There's something weird going on.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I didn't get the notification. I'm looking at it now. There's no notification on my phone for this live stream once you went live.
Yeah, it's so frustrating building up channels and then no one comes in.
Yeah,
but they want people to come in.
Well, YouTube's on autopilot
with like an actor, and there's no notifications.
They act like they don't get paid for this.
They take a cut. They take a cut.
More than us. If they give you $5, they're probably making 500. Anyways, there you go. So scale of 1 to 10, Mad Max.
I know it's not a 5. I'd go 4 or 3. I'd go 4.
Wow.
4 out of 10.
I think that's fair.
So
it's just
Star Wars
it's
only,
all
I never
over
got
the
your
place.
opinion. Did you not like it?
No. I mean, I didn't hate it. I don't know. I really didn't like The Last Jedi. This one, just no, it was just too much. I think Max made a point of this in the last stream we did, where he was like, The Last Jedi is a better movie than Rise of Skywalker. The way I look at it, I think The Last Jedi, I like to use the word film because I like to think of myself as a film critic. You know, I'm more knowledgeable than some of these people, but that's just my ego getting the best of me. I think The Last Jedi is a better film than The Rise of Skywalker. I think The Rise of Skywalker is a better blockbuster than The Last Jedi, where it's a popcorn flick. You sit down, you don't think about anything, you watch it, you enjoy it. But
it's a
when you actually start,
furious to Star Wars.
It really, it's a great analogy. The more you think about The Rise of Skywalker, the worse it gets, and you're not supposed to think about it. You're supposed to watch it, enjoy what you remember, and then that's about it.
If there was one thing that we could have got, it would have been that Kylo and Rey, since they're teaming up, they both have lightsabers together, to both go against the Emperor, and you didn't even get that. Pushed them off the edge of a cliff.
I hated the way the Emperor died, man. Like, died again. I thought it would have been cool if she would have beheaded him, like as she's walking towards him. Like remember, like an echo.
You know, that's how Anakin went down to the dark side. I don't think it's a good way to go.
Yeah, but she's still killing him. She knows the lightning's going back.
No,
man, how does the lightning? Okay, so you're shooting lightning, right? You know it's killing you. Here's an idea. Turn it off. It's
no, you don't understand. It's kind of like taking a piss. Once you start, you can't stop.
I don't want to have to explain this again.
Hold on, let me try it. Well,
I kind of like the way he eventually went out, because he did it to himself with his anger.
Yeah,
because he was just defending
Revenge of the Sith. It's just weird. The whole thing was weird. He's like, strike me down and I will become you, or you will become me, or something like that. Like, you'll become Empress. And then he's like, I am all the Sith, which kind of ruins the individualism.
It was all lies. It was all lies.
Well, the way he was doing it,
but it wasn't a lie in the movie, though.
He was in the arena. He was in the arena going like this. With all the audience, we never know who the heck those people are. She will take her sword. She will take one step forward. Then she'll take a breath. She'll pull her hair back. Then she will raise the lightsaber. It's like he's explaining everything she's gonna do. Wasn't that kind of weird at the end? Who are those people?
Weird. They are Sith cultists, I think. Or no, loyalists is what they're called. I actually know someone who actually played one of them in the movie, and he was like, "Yeah, man, we were all supposed to be with some of those red stormtroopers, but about halfway through production, they realized, we can just CGI a bunch of those guys, and we don't really need them. So they just made a bunch of us dress up in these black robes and said we had to be these Sith loyalist characters. You'll see me in the background once. I thought he would tell me exactly which one he was, and then I saw the film. I was like, oh, dude, you can be any of these motherfuckers. I mean, I think it's a good role to have. I actually like. Story
about that. There's one guy. There's a few Star Wars people from the original trilogy that actually made money going around convention to convention, claiming they were one of the characters. You can Google it. Robert, what did you think of episode 9? We kind of hated it. Well, okay, we didn't think it was great the first time, right? We saw it together. Yeah, Second time was better, right?
I said it when we first came out. Hey, this is going to be one of those movies that you're going to like if you watch it, repeatedly. But this movie was behind the 8 ball from the beginning, with especially with the death of Carrie Fisher, which I remember some of the limited press that they did from the beginning of The Force Awakens, which all I knew was that each movie was going to focus on each original trilogy character. First one was, of course, with Han. Second was going to be with Luke, and then the third was going to be Leia. But I mean, she passed away. And so they had to kind of rethink everything. Also, you had Lawrence Kasdan, who didn't want to do any more Star Wars movies after Solo. So it was. I mean, we knew, we knew this was going to kind of be like the wild card. We didn't really know where it was going to go. I think they did the best with what they had. I was still really disappointed with the fact that this is the culmination of 40 plus years of Star Wars movies with the Skywalker saga. And if you're going to bring, past Jedi and make this big, why not have the actual actors reprise their roles
at the end?
Small parts, bit parts at the climactic point of the film, which they didn't do. So I always thought it just felt like they just wanted to get done with this movie and let's move on. Let's move forward and
there's nothing
plan
moving
something
on
else.
To.
Meaning let's move on to something
new stories.
New stories in the Star Wars universe.
Everything on screen. They just threw everything up there. Like, oh, we got to make this epic. Let's put all these Star Destroyers up in there coming from. And it would have been better if they would have like zoomed in and had the confrontation, but you're looking up at these Star Destroyers that don't do crap, and then no one shows up for the call from The Last Jedi, but they hear Leia dies, and then there's so many ships they do copy and paste ships of every ship that's ever been every freaking Star Wars movie ever.
I want sharks with laser beams on their head.
That's who Dr. Evil wrote this movie. Right?
Yeah.
You guys know who the laser beams on it.
You all know who Greg Grunberg is.
Yeah.
Who?
Greg Grunberg, I believe. I'm
Greta Thunberg or the
Greg Grunberg plays. He plays Snap Wexley.
I saw that. Yeah,
he's the dude.
So check this out. Okay, so he talked to the Hollywood Reporter, and he was talking about a few things when he heard the complaint about people saying that the movie was pandering. And he said, when the movie came out, I was so pissed off and angry about one specific criticism I heard. It said, "Oh, he's just pandering to the fans." And he says, it's like, what are you talking about? A movie like this is all about satisfying the fans. What do you guys think of that statement?
I think he's 110% wrong.
Okay.
You're not supposed to please the fans, especially Star Wars fans. We're an awful bunch of people. We are never going to be satisfied with anything.
Yeah.
I said this earlier. You could literally remake the Knights of the Old Republic trilogy word by word from the game, and people are still going to hate it. Yep. That's just because that's how we are. But this is one thing I admired about Lucas, is that he would look at the story and say, well, I don't really care what the fans want. It's a story. I got to tell the stories the way I want to tell it. Yeah. And the fans are like, oh, but George, we want more of this. We want more of that. He's like, well, kiss my ass. You can make that in your little fan fiction games. I'm going to make this, it's my story. Instead of telling a story for the sake of storytelling, it seems very apparent that someone like JJ is like, well, the fans really like this. Well, why don't we make them happy? You want to make us happy, of course. But like, at least Rian Johnson had the balls to go out there and go, I'm going to do something different that challenges our perspective of Star Wars, because that's what Empire Strikes Back did in 1980. Was it went from this lighthearted adventure of finding your destiny, your calling to life, to you're getting your ass kicked by this huge authoritarian government because they're that much bigger than you, and also this may be the end of your journey. Like, this is the dark point of the chapter. And it really challenged a lot of Star Wars fans and what they thought about the Force and what they thought about of Darth Vader as a character and his connection to Luke. And now that he's his father, I mean, there's so many things that made that more complicated and a complex story. These new films are just, you like this because you remember the Death Star. Well, here's a Star Killer base. You remember Darth Vader. Here's his grandson. You remember Luke Skywalker. Well, here he is. He's sucking on green tit milk. I mean, it's just, it's pandering to the highest of order and then expecting people to be wowed by it, I guess.
Any other input?
I'm not mad. I'll watch it again. I'm happy to do a watch party. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
So,
Robert, you had something?
No, I mean, I was just gonna reiterate what I said before, like about the difference between Star Wars fans and like horror fans. Horror fans very forgiving when it comes to horror movies. Star Wars fans are just dicks.
Well, no, also like Star Wars fans, like it, to satisfy Star Wars fans, the movie will be incoherent because everyone has their own idea of what Star Wars should be or where it should go to. I mean, I've had some ideas that I thought were awesome, and then when I share them to someone else, 100% sure I'm thinking, man, they're gonna love this idea. The response is, that sucks. It's like everyone has their Star Wars theory.
I think that's a pre-qualification to get on the Lucasfilm story group. So,
you have to suck at storytelling?
Yeah. No, that you have to upset the fans.
Oh.
You have to piss off the fans.
So here's the deal.
As a writer, I'm writing what I'm going to write, and I tell you what, I mean, I'm not big. Not everyone's reading my stuff. But let's say 10 years down the road, everyone's reading it and loving it. And I'm writing the next book. And they start saying, well, this is what should be done. This or she. We're the fans. I'm going to say, no, I already know what I'm writing. Fuck you. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sorry. It always sounds bad.
Don't add that to you. Don't do that.
But, no, I will. I'll add that. And then I'll have my own hate group.
The only thing that I've always just really had a hard time coming to grips with was and to reference like the special editions of Star Wars, I know like the original Star Wars movie, which was then titled A New Hope, but it didn't meet George's vision of what he initially wanted because of time constraints, because of budget issues. And once he had the money and the technology to go back and do it, you know, we have the special editions. So the special editions were supposed to be George's ultimate, hey, this is what I really intended for it to look like. But I've always had the issue. I get it. He's the creator. He wrote it. It's his. But I've always compared it to like one of the one of the greatest albums ever put out by the Beach Boys, Pet Shop Sounds. Fantastic orchestration, great music. But then Brian Wilson's going to come back and say, 20 years later, you know what? Everything you heard in Pet Shop Sounds, wouldn't it be nice? All that great stuff. Don't listen to that. I'm buying back all those copies. And I forgot to add a kazoo portion in that song. And I really wanted that fucking kazoo, but the guy was not available and we had to pay union scale for him. So all these new special edition Pet Shop Sounds, this is what I want you to listen to from now on. That's
welcome,
just the way
Hero Journalism. What's
I've
up,
always
man?
felt about it.
Hero Journalism. What's up, man? Welcome.
Uh-oh.
He's on mute.
Hey,
Sorry,
guys.
Hey,
sorry,
welcome,
well,
man.
Thank you for the welcome. It's good to be here.
Yeah, so you'll catch up. We're talking about Star Wars and stuff as usual. It always reverts back to Star Wars, damn it. The way I look at it is Lucas created the Mona Lisa and it's a masterpiece and he kept picking at it. Like, oh no, I'm gonna make her hair a little bit like this. And it's like not realizing you don't have to do that. So that's the way I look at it. But
well, I think for Lucas, and as being someone who's a huge Lucas fanatic, I think he was almost jealous and a little upset that it didn't come out the way he wanted it to, and that other people made it better. Mainly his wife at the time, Marsha Lucas, and other people who worked on the film and were editing it. I think he realized that he's a good idea man, but when he comes to Empire Strikes Back, he was the one who said he didn't want Han Solo to say, I know. He wanted him to say, I love you. And I think we all know, in hindsight, it's more in character for Han Solo to say, I know, instead of I love you too. Mm-hmm. And it's things like that where George is he's very controlling. He's one of those, that's why he likes to edit so much, because you can control the film a lot more in the editing room than you can directing and writing it. I think he gets a little jealous and a little upset that the movie didn't come out the way he wanted it to, and everyone fell in love with it. So while we all fell in love with Star Wars in 1977, I remember I was there, and he didn't, because he was like, you know what, this isn't the way I wanted to come out. And I'm glad it gets insulting almost, where it's like him painting the Mona Lisa and be like, oh, well, you guys fell in love with like half her painting. That's not even what I really wanted. Actually, she's riding a horse. You didn't see that. She's riding a horse, and the horse's balls were hanging down. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And that's how he looks at the special editions, where he's almost insulting the fans by saying, oh, I'm sorry you fell in love with half a film.
Well, the Mona Lisa was actually just a guy with some long hair. You guys didn't see that because you didn't see below the waist.
Yeah, you didn't see the bulge that I wanted to put on the bottom. And,
hey, I don't mind the special editions because it's like, hey, we're going to the theater, see something new, something different. But he never, he got rid of the original theatrical cuts.
If you need the option. If you had the option, I wouldn't be complaining, but there's no option.
Right. And he has those, and he's not going to give it to nobody. No. Fuck
okay. So I'm gonna the next opinion I'm gonna ask Hero Journalism, because he's new here and he hasn't said anything. But okay, so check this one out. We've heard for years, and I've actually heard this from like people who supposedly work in the industry, that J.J. Abrams is actually upset at Rian Johnson. Because he left them with no story plot to work with for The Rise of Skywalker. I've heard that from several people. Now, I don't know. You never know if this is true or not, or wishful thinking, right? So they asked this guy, was it Grunberg?
Greg Grunberg.
Yeah. So they asked him about
Who's
that.
Been a long time friend of J.J. Abrams, has acted in multiple J.J. Abrams projects over the years.
I think a childhood friend.
Yeah, television shows, everything. They're like childhood friends.
Yeah, it's like kindergarten or something. And I'm not even saying it's like being exaggeratory. They were friends since kindergarten.
Yeah.
And he's better known as the only person in Star Wars that is a heavy set, in my opinion.
Okay, I know you're talking
about.
No love for Jabba?
Porkins?
Porkins, dude.
Dexter? Or
bro,
are we not talking
I
about
thought you meant the new Star Wars.
Yeah, the new Star Wars.
Oh.
But hey, you know what? I love that guy. I've spoken to him. He's fucking Grunberg's cool. But anyways, in regards to did he know about the rivalry? And he said that he's never heard one disparaging thing from J.J. Abrams about Rian Johnson. Do you guys buy that hero journalism?
I do buy it because J.J. Abrams is a very professional guy and doesn't strike me as the kind of person. He's very collaborative. He's always been, he really is the person that kind of brought the writer's room approach from television into Hollywood a little bit. I think he's a big reason why that's kind of become a more common approach. Now, I'm not saying that isn't what he feels really. I actually find that equation very fascinating because I would think my gut reaction, of course, he's got to be upset with Rian Johnson. But, there's, I think back to when before The Last Jedi came out, he was interviewed. Abrams was interviewed and he said, you just about this quote, it's just stunning looking back in hindsight. He said, the script that Rian came in with is so good, I wish I was the one directing it.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about that, And it totally, as everyone knows, it really left him in a box in a corner for
people in the industry. They're making millions of dollars, man. Like they're sharing millions amongst each other, and they all hype each other up. They're never going to criticize each other. It's like us, right? Like me and Robert. I always say his stuff's good, but it's awful, and I lie. Star Wars only. Do you buy this? Do you think J.J. Abrams actually pissed or not?
You shill for Robert, Lewis.
He is.
Now Robert's great.
Robert is probably the one who really was the one who started this rumor, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
I think he was on the inside about it, and he's not letting us know.
Yeah,
but
Robert.
No, I think JJ's kind of being a professional about it. I think outwardly he is just being a gentleman by saying, yeah, I'm sure he likes Rian Johnson as a person, but I'm pretty confident the producing side of things, the behind the scenes, is what really got lost in translation for this, because there's conflicting reports on what happened with JJ's versions of 8 and 9. He wrote drafts for the entire trilogy, and when they approached Rian, he said that they had no plan past episode 7, which is also pretty fucking stupid. But then you get to what was it, Daisy Ridley? She said that Rian Johnson actually had the draft for episode 8 by J.J. Abrams and just completely ignored it. And I respect Rian for doing that and kind of going his own way. But it's one of those things where you got conflicting reports from people. If Rian Johnson truly didn't get the draft for episode 8, why didn't he? If there was a plan for it past episode 7, why wasn't Rian privy to that knowledge? Because, I mean, let's be honest, he had a lot more creative freedom with episode 8 than JJ had with episode 7. I think JJ had a lot more creative freedom with episode 9 than he did 7, but I don't know if it's as much as 8. So I think for JJ, he's upset because of Rian's story decisions of changing almost everything he was doing. And I think to continue his story, he completely went a different route than what Rian was going for in episode 9. But I think a small part of him was doing it to be petty, because there are certain things in there that did not need to be in the film. Like when what is it, Dominic? How do you say his last name?
Monaghan.
When he was like, "Why don't we do some holdover movies? Do some real damage." And it's like that didn't need to be in the that didn't need like you out of everything that was in
and they
that
said
film,
that was a 1 in a million shot.
Yeah, like out of everything that needed to be in that film, because there's so much in it. Like Lunga says, it's like 2 films in the one. Out of everything that needed to be in that film, that was not one of them. That was just there to spite that was made for one person only, and that's for Rian Johnson when he was watching to be like, yeah, fuck you too, dude. Like literally, that was it. And so I think J.J. Abrams is secretly really petty about it, but I also think he doesn't care anymore after watching The Rise of Skywalker. I don't think he cares anymore. I think he's like, it's whatever.
Hey, as per the Star Wars tradition, I don't remember right off the bat, but did Rian Johnson do a cameo in Rise of Skywalker? Usually,
I don't believe he did. Not that I know of. No, I don't. I really think that they had so little time, and also when this film was being made, he was also working on Knives Out and doing a lot of promotional material for that. So I don't think the schedules would have.
Yeah, he's in the back writing his trilogy that doesn't exist.
Does anyone else want to add anything else?
Yeah. I always have something to add. You know, I can't shut up. I love the sound of my own voice.
I know.
Yeah, but I it's a mixture of everything. Do I think JJ revolved this whole thing around saying "F you" to Ryan? No. JJ has openly admitted, I know how to start things, I don't know how to end them. So if he has a hard time ending his own things, they beg him to come back to do this. He's like, so you want me to end this when he completely went a different route with it? I have a hard time ending my own things. Now you want me to end something that he completely changed? I don't know how to do that. So he decided, well, I'll just go with what I was doing. So I don't think it was like intentional, but I think it's more of a professional rivalry rather than hatred, like the stuff that Star Wars Only talk about, putting there's little things in there that are like little jabs.
Well, that was a lot of fan stuff too, to silence fans.
Yeah, but no. Well, no, the Holdo move wasn't about silencing fans.
Well, I mean, no. But fans say, why won't they just do that all the time to silence that criticism?
Yeah. But he just did it more as a
hey guys,
like, Ryan will get it.
Guys, real quick, I'm gonna exit out of here and let Matt come in for a while, but I'm gonna keep the topic on Star Wars for a bit, and let's add in Robert Rodriguez directing one of the Mandalorian episodes. And Robert, since you're a Nerd Report, take over this joint for a while. I'll be listening, but let's get Matt in here. Welcome, Matt.
Wasn't expecting to come on in.
Oh no, Matt Jarbo. He didn't clarify which Matt.
Yeah, you didn't clarify which Matt it was.
Sorry, I'm like the only one who knows.
I thought it was the other
industry. The industry term is Jarbo.
Yes. Actually, that's funny you say that because my film school name and Hollywood name was also that. It was only then that I adopted the moniker Mundane Madden. Dear God, realize how much I fucked my own life up.
Jeez. So is that kind of like a kink for you in the middle of playing hide the people? You're like, hey, call me Jarbo, baby. I was just like, all right, Matt. What you say?
Yeah, just slide your finger in 2 knuckles deep and call me Jarbo.
Oh boy,
as he's being choked, right?
Good morning.
Yeah, you got to do. You got to go up and to the left, right?
That's for Lewis. I'm saying this is supposed to be family friendly.
I think we're family friendly.
The world's gonna die. Nothing about me is family friendly, obviously.
All right, so here we go. We're gonna talk about Robert Rodriguez, possibly, or is he been confirmed working on the Mandalorian season 2?
I don't think it's confirmed. This came from a Slash report and Slash Film. Thank you, and H&E, I think, and Slash Film also is the ones who came out with the Rosario as Ahsoka Tano. So it's not confirmed. One of the weird things about both of those reports is that these are coming out after production is already wrapped for season 2 of The Mandalorian. So it's
but the way they filmed Mandalorian, I mean, all things considered, they could just do pickups.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with how I wouldn't say how small the production is, but how contained it is in one central location, and they're using that God, it's so new. I still don't even know the name for it. The technology.
Stagecraft.
So what's it called? Spacecraft?
I think it's called Stagecraft technology.
Stagecraft. Yeah. You're right.
It's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
It is absolutely
like
beautiful.
The film nerd in me, like the filmmaker in me, is like, oh my God, I want to see it.
I instantly was like, I wish I could have that to make my own stuff. And
I would waste it if I had it, to be honest with you. I would just be like, doing the same content, but like with a cooler background.
Yeah, but
yeah, I was talking about that today with Dominic Pace, and he was like, "It's incredible." He's like just standing there. He's like, and being in the middle of it, he's like, "It's just incredible how transformative it is."
Yeah,
it's going to change. I mean, think about how much it's going to like save budgets, right? I mean, and because that's where they have to go now. Anyway, they have to start lowering the budget. So here's my question: did the $100 million that they allotted for season 1 of Mandalorian, like, what did that go to?
Baby Yoda.
That's right. $5 million for the hero Yoda. Yeah.
Paying the salaries of everybody, I guess. And I mean, let's be honest, the production of it, even with the stagecraft, whatever the fuck it's called, even with that, I mean, that probably is not a cheap little thing. That's a pretty penny. And they also had a lot of really practical sets. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love The Mandalorian is it's a very authentic Star Wars of it's real sets. It feels like a world you're actually visiting. And like a lot of the Tatooine stuff, I'm pretty confident was, real. So I'm sure that
I saw one of the behind the scenes in episode 4 when him and Cara Dune are fighting those raiders inside that tent with like the different tanks and stuff. I saw a behind this. I forget which video it's on, but that was stagecraft. Like the walls to the tent were not real. That was
the stagecraft.
I got to go try to find the screen grab of that. But it's like I was watching.
It's almost as convincing as this.
Yeah.
Actually, for the longest time, I honestly thought that your backdrop was real. But then I knew you had a green screen because you were telling me that you do it with Logitech, and I'm like, but wait, why would you need if? And then my brain's trying to figure it out, and then I saw you do the thing, and I'm like, oh, okay.
No, this is practical set, guys. It's all practical. It's all real.
Hold on.
So is my dining room.
But watch this. Watch this. Oh, no, that's real.
Whoa. Dude, you just blew my mind.
That's how he screws it. I've seen you do that. That's why I'm like, wait, I've watched you like pull an object off the thing. I've watched
it's real. It's real. See,
yeah.
Oh, I have the same book.
Oh, but now I see the green.
This was actually on my dining room table. My wife loves that.
I have to ask you the question, and you're not going to want to answer it, but I have to ask you the question in front of all of these people right now, and God. Don't forget God. Do you fuck in that mask? Like,
I knew
you said your wife likes it, so I just have to ask that question. Like,
I said she doesn't like it on the dining room table.
What do you want, baby? She's like, what do you want tonight? Dr. Doom, Mandalorian, and Johnny Blaze.
Hey,
I mean, like that's because there's got to be a kink fetish there, dude. Like I fully respect it. By the way,
why not? I'm not saying anything. Why not?
Lewis did put up the question of, do you like the idea of the stagecraft? So maybe we should tangent back over to that question.
I don't. Hey, if this,
I got more than just the masks.
Robert, what are you doing? You're supposed to keep this under control, Robert.
You're telling me to keep all these guys under control. There's no damn way I'm going to keep this under control, especially when Matt's here.
I got a leather jacket. I got gloves.
So it's all good.
Oh yeah, look at these gloves.
Right, so I guess for the sake of Lewis, we'll bring it back to the new director.
Thank you.
Man,
he's known
we'll
for
have the after party on my stream. How about that?
There we go. Yeah, that's where we can drink and smoke. But Robert's known for his work in like Sin City, Spy Kids. What I like about him is that he's a well-known director, but also a writer, producer, editor. He's an actual film enthusiast. And so I think bringing him into something like The Mandalorian, where you have the creator, Jon Favreau, who is a writer, a director, an actor, a producer, does it all. I feel like it's a good dynamic. I feel like the collaboration that goes on with The Mandalorian is great for someone like him to come in and work on it. I think if he hasn't directed an episode, I'll be a little disappointed. But I think one of his episodes would probably be some of the best that we've seen so far, because what Jon Favreau does a lot better, I think, as a producer than someone, and I'm not harping on her, I'm just saying in general, Kathleen Kennedy with the sequels, is actually allow true collaboration among these directors and everyone have their own say and their own voice. So I hope it does happen. I hope it's actually a thing that comes to fruition, and it already has since it's wrapped production. I hope we get to see what he does with The Mandalorian, because I think he can really get that Western vibe going for whatever episode he directed.
Yeah. Has anybody ever seen his breakthrough movie, El Mariachi?
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah.
I have an interesting question. Would The Mandalorian have happened if it wasn't for the division of After Last Jedi and Solo bombing because they were going to go ahead with Boba Fett.
I think the Mandalorian would have happened still. The Boba Fett thing was canceled back in 2015 before Star Wars Celebration.
Right before Celebration, right?
Literally like a day, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, they had
literally was.
They had an article ready for James Mangold to come out around Solo.
But that was for the Obi-Wan Kenobi film, and
that was for Boba Fett.
James Mangold.
Yeah, originally it was him on Boba Fett.
Yeah.
If you go back to like May 24th, 2018.
There was an article that, see what happens with this and Obi-Wan, they had articles ready for Access Media to come out, and they didn't stop them all. And one still came out for Boba Fett, and one still came out for Obi-Wan all those times ago. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just some of these weird sites. It was legit sites. And it still snuck out. And he couldn't really give a definitive yes or no on James Mangold. And then he was saying he was upset by fans' reactions. He was making comments there. And then after Solo bombed, it went away. So that's why I brought that up. That question is if the situation didn't happen like this, would we be getting the Mandalorian and all this great stuff? I kind of think it led to this because Jon Favreau went to Disney with the idea. Of course, he's got connections with Disney already.
I'm pretty sure it kind of boiled down like this. Like, remember that they used the same stagecraft tech for Lion King. So he was developing Lion King before doing Mandalorian. And I'm pretty sure like they thought, hey, we could use this in like a live action setting. Like, why not try it for Star Wars? Since it's all green screen anyway. You know, and then, you know, they hear like at the end of 2017, oh, hey, Disney Plus. And then we already know they're going to start putting Star Wars content on Disney Plus. And then I think it just kind of like made its way in there around sometime around 2018, probably after Solo had failed. Yeah, I'm sure conversations were had, but Iger had always maintained that he wanted Disney Plus to be like the home for Star Wars.
Yeah, from what I've read about some stuff too, that Boba Fett series, and the Mandalorian was already being like thought of and written, and the ideas were being plotted out before the cancellation of the Boba Fett movie. So I don't think they were linked in any way.
At Star Wars Celebration last year, Favreau had said that he was writing like the first couple episodes, Christmas 2017.
Yeah.
Right. So, or like maybe Christmas 2017 or Christmas 2018 or something. He was working on the episodes. I really want to know like what the shooting schedule is for this, because season 2 started filming before season 1. So it's got, pardon me, it's got some stuff.
Ended. No, it was very fast. I know, like it was almost. I remember John saying it was almost like immediately back to back. Like the second they wrapped for season 1, they were already going for season 2, basically. And or he already started writing for season 2. I know with the first season he wrote the first 4 episodes and then pitched it to Lucasfilm, and then Lucasfilm, of course, had their own little like, no, we want Dave Filoni to write or something kind of like that, and so.
Well, actually, I think he brought him in because if you go back to that whole Mandalorian panel at Celebration, they talk about how they met, which I thought was really cool because Filoni was finishing up the audio work for Clone Wars, and Favreau was finishing up the audio for Iron Man, and they just kind of met and they started just talking and ended up like just collaborating like right there, you know. So they've been friends since 2008.
Yeah,
and then
it was Kathleen Kennedy that introduced him, though.
There'll be no Kennedy love here. Okay.
Hold on. Since Robert is not taking the reins here, Robert, Lewis does have a thing up there saying it's time for a cheesy trailer.
Well, before you do that, I just got a message from the Mad Wife to wear Knight Rider or to wear Ghost Rider, and I gotta head out. So I'll see you guys. To answer your question, Matt.
That answers the question. Yeah.
All right,
you just gotta yell out Ghost Rider when you come.
Oh God, Jarbo, you just bring down everything.
Oh God.
Few Western films made it into the country. Turkish filmmakers came up with a daring plan.
Oh, this is awesome.
With only 3 cameras and a truck full of fuzzy costumes, they would attempt to remake the most ambitious science fiction movie ever attempted. Now, 30 years later, Film Music recovers this film from the vault to release the first English version. This October, Film Music welcomes you to the dark side of Turkish cinema.
And we are staying. The battle of dark forces has started.
You are humans. You cannot resist your feelings and conscience.
Tears are the only true expression of the mortal human. His love.
Robert, is this another one from your vault?
Celebrating their release with a special live performance, creating all the sound for the film live on stage at the Hollywood Theater. Turkish Star Wars.
Fun fact, the guy that was punching was actually hitting someone off screen for the sound effects. You just couldn't see it.
Oh, I didn't know that. Fun fact.
I totally.
Did you guys know about that one or no? Who didn't know about it?
I didn't know about it.
I'd heard about it, but I hadn't seen that trailer before.
I'm almost glad I had never heard about it, if I'm being honest.
There's actually Turkish Exorcist. There's Turkish everything. If you look it up.
I'm familiar with the more comic book oriented ones, the Turkish Superman, etc. But I definitely knew of the Star Wars one. I've seen those in the bootleg racks at Comic Cons and such. That I think that's hilarious. I totally would see that.
So it's basically like the Chinese with intellectual property stealing, but with less money.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. There goes our stream. You just talk bad about the Chinese. I'm gonna see fucking Emperor, whatever the hell his name is, come out there. He's like, we are declaring war on Lunga. It's like
completely unrelated.
Lunga, how did your interview go with Dominic Pence?
You mean Dominic Pace? Maybe you get the name right first before you ask.
Sorry, I was thinking of the VP.
It's okay.
I was thinking of the vice president.
It went incredibly well. He's a very easy man to talk to. Knows his way around a microphone, so it's like I don't have to worry. I can ask the question, give my little comment, and let him go, which is the best kind of interview you can have. He confirmed Kathleen Kennedy was on the set, at least in season 1 of Mandalorian.
All right.
And he confirmed.
Wait, Doomcock was wrong?
What?
Yeah,
what?
Oh, he's never been. I don't think he's ever the test screenings, the J.J. Abrams cut, the Lucas getting a 25% cut of all the new film. He's never been wrong about anything. I mean, what are you talking about?
He also did talk about when George was there. He says day one he was there, and he had a nice little story where he was where George was running around talking to people and giving input and insight on the Mandalorians and the lore and stuff. So it leads credence to this whole, when people say that Disney hates the fans. It's not true. It's kind of BS.
I don't think they hate the fans. I just think sometimes you try to make something good and it doesn't work.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it happens all the time. Look at this show.
Can confirm.
Especially the last 30 seconds.
Touche. Very good. But yeah, no, it was a great interview. But you can move on to the next person. Thank you.
What? That's it?
That was a great. Yeah.
Wait, who did Dominic play in The Mandalorian?
He was one of the bounty hunters. Gecko was the name. It's an unofficial name, actually, Gecko. But yeah, he played one of the bounty hunters. And they're actually talking about that character is supposed to be brought back in some of the new comics and stuff.
Nice,
coming out.
Cool.
So
cool. Yeah, I've been rewatching The Mandalorian again, so I was just curious.
Yeah, I want to see The Mandalorian. I wish wouldn't it be great if it was out during this time? So cool.
Yeah.
Star Wars
8
only.
episodes. Nowhere to be found.
Star Wars only. What do you have coming up next, man? Are you working on another documentary or not?
There's been some ideas in the works, but I was gonna try to do one. What year is it now? 2020. I was trying to do one in January about the Clone Wars right before it came out. Lost all motivation and all research. School got the best of me. The next official one I'm doing, and I hate saying that because it makes me feel like I'm trying to, you know how people do fan films, like, oh, I'm leaking a picture for my fan film. It's like, you're not leaking it. You're the guy who's making it. You can't leak something that you made. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's kind of how I feel about my documentaries. But I have 3 that I'm going to make. I have one in 2025, so I got plenty of time about the prequel trilogy because it'll be 20 years after the fact. One that I'll probably work on in the next few years now that the Rise of Skywalker documentary has come out is one about the Skywalker saga. And then there's a third one I want to do about one of the people who made Star Wars, but has kind of become a forgotten part of it. And we talked about that person earlier today.
Marcia Lucas.
Yeah. He got it right there. Longest right.
Marcia Lucas. I've been following her for a long time. There's a lot of articles out there.
Oh yeah, there is, but there's not a lot of information about her sadly anymore. And I mean, I literally, I bought this is gonna sound bad out of context, but I bought a Playgirl magazine from 1976 with an interview from her just to make a future documentary about her. So that's like that's my dream one, man. That's the one that, like, once I make that, I'll quit YouTube. I'll put that's going to be all my passion, all my work. Put it out there. Pray George Lucas sees it, and then he'll hate me for life. He's like, "Are you talking shit about my ex-wife? Like, what the fuck? Like, I did all the work. And she just edited the film, and now he's talking shit." Like, no. Once I do that, I'm done. I'm retiring from Star Wars. I said my piece. I'm gone.
No, you can't do that. You can't retire until you get the George Lucas bust.
Oh, dude, yeah, that too.
Matt, real quick, what do you think of the Snyder Cut news we've been getting?
Oh, Jesus.
Well, you're trying to invoke Jeffrey again, aren't you? Oh, Jeffrey, he's here.
No, I'm not. I'm not Jeffrey.
No, Jeffrey's he's next to you.
He just showed up.
Oh, is he just in the? What, is he in the? Oh no!
Look at the screen, Matt. He's right next to you.
No.
The killer's right behind you. He's right behind you.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
Hey Jeffrey.
What's up, Jeffrey?
So who do we have here? We have Matt. We have Lunga. We have Robert, and who else? Star Wars Only.
Star Wars Only and Hero Journalism.
Hero Journalism. Welcome all.
Nice to meet you.
The pleasure is all yours to have me on the show.
Don't talk to him, Jason. He won't go away. If you name him, he's yours. Right? Like feeding a mogwai after midnight. You're fucked.
There's so much ego in this room right now.
There was no danger to naming the mogwais.
just feeding them, right?
I'm not a demon.
Well, you know, I mean, sure, I've met you. You seem normal. But then again, I mean, the rest of us all kind of seem normal. I've hung out with. No, I haven't met Robert yet.
No, we haven't met yet.
Yeah, we haven't met yet. That's right.
You know, Matt, you're not one to take low blows and go low hanging fruit.
Oh, I absolutely am.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a short guy, so it's really easy. So anyway, Snyder Cut. Me happy. Because it's coming.
There isn't one.
There is one. It's coming.
When?
He wants there to be one. Snyder does.
Snyder. Well, you could tell that. So okay, you have to look at it like this. As much as I want one, I will also be realistic and go. Look, I think they shot it. Okay, look at it like New Mutants, for example. Right? New Mutants didn't have any reshoots, even though there were tons of reports saying that there were reshoots. They never had any reshoots, and the movie, well, it was going to come out here like in a week and a half. But now it's coming out whenever. But still, that's Josh Boone's movie. That's the way he wanted it, the way he shot it originally, the way he wrote it originally.
So they say that's the Hollywood cover story.
Well, I mean, considering they shot it in April 2017, yeah, you kind of have to go
anything any filmmaker, any executive producers.
Okay, Jeffrey doesn't believe anything.
Well, yeah.
Jeffrey's like, I don't really believe we're on this show right now.
Yeah, that's okay. I know how to get rid of it.
Nothing that you see.
I have the nuclear option for Jeffrey, though. I do know what that is. So if Lewis is bringing me full screen,
a U.S. release of Goblin Slayer, Goblin's Crown.
No, I'll have Lewis give me control of share screen, and I'll show us a Juarez website and start looking through all the pirated movies that are available right now. I'm like, hey guys, you want to watch Onward? Hey Jeffrey Harris of 411 Mania, you want to watch Onward illegally?
Oh, that's horrible.
No, I do not.
You're gonna freak him out, Matt.
I already saw Onward, and I saw it legally because I was invited by Disney.
Yeah, there we go. more the reason for us to watch it here, and you can narrate the movie. Let me go find it. I'm just gonna have it on
Star
hand.
Wars Only, I have a question for you.
I have an answer.
What do you think of season 7 of Clone Wars so far?
I'm gonna be honest. I stopped watching after episode 2.
Why is that?
I just didn't care anymore, and it's not like I think they're bad. I just when the Clone Wars movie came out, it was awful. The show, first 2 seasons, awful. Got a lot better. I loved it, but now I'm not even old. But I'm like, I'm 20 now. Do I really care anymore about this teenage show? Is it going to tell me anything new that I don't already know about the franchise? I'm going to be honest, probably not. The Bad Batch arc it was generic Clone Wars to me. I'll catch up for the sake of catching up soon, but it just looks okay to me.
How the named clones reacted to the Clone Wars and killing their comrades, I guess. Right?
I mean,
isn't that a reasonable expectation?
I don't really care much about the clones. If I'm being honest, I'm an emotion. I don't have a lot of emotion for them. To me, they're like droids. They're made for cannon fodder by Palpatine. I mean, they're just kind of there. They were all CGI in the prequels.
I have a question for you. Did Padme not look pregnant in the second episode?
I didn't see it. I saw what people were saying. I didn't really see it, but I also don't want to play that fine line of like going like if I saw a woman who looked like that in the streets. Do I have the heart to go up and say, when are you due?
We're not talking about a real actress. We're talking about a CG character.
Yeah, you're right. But
I don't even understand why this is such a revelation, though, because, I mean, she has the babies at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Correct.
There's only like a year or 2 between the Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith. So she was obviously pregnant at some point, and we're on the last season, which is going to culminate with Order 66 eventually. So it's kind of a foregone conclusion she's going to be pregnant.
Anakin didn't know she was pregnant until
remember that part where she's like, something wonderful has happened, and he's like, what? She's like, I'm pregnant. And
so all right, so Star Wars Only didn't see it. But what about Gary Kurtz, Star Wars Only?
Oh, Gary Kurtz. Oh,
he was a pretty crucial actor in those
going on a rant
in those films.
Gary Kurtz, he was the producer. He wasn't an actor.
That's actor. It's proverbial.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
Not
Gary
in
Kurtz.
Actor in front of the cameras. He played an important role to bringing to making those
Jeffrey,
films what they ultimately became.
We get it. Move on.
He's just one of the.
No, I'm like, it sounds like that's something would be an interesting topic for you if you're making a documentary.
Oh yeah, for sure. One day. I mean, I'm sure that there's plenty of content I could do on someone like Gary Kurtz. I've always said if there's like a Mount Rushmore of Star Wars father figures, it would be Gary Kurtz, George Lucas, Irvin Kershner, and who cares about the fourth one?
I don't know if this is true, but my understanding is that Marcia Lucas basically created the setup where the Death Star is about to destroy the Yavin base at the end of the film.
It doesn't exist.
It was
it doesn't exist.
Give the heroes sort of like a ticking clock at the end, and that all happened in the edit room where now that they have to.
The time constraint aspect of it in the last 30 minutes where there actually was like a dogfight feeling to it. She also was the reason Obi-Wan Kenobi died in the film. He was supposed to live on, but she said there needs to be like some emotional loss to it.
Yes.
And it would be a good moment for him to die. She's the reason there's actually character in the Star Wars film. She's the reason you actually feel emotion, because she even said when George Lucas made THX 1138 that all the characters he makes are completely emotionless. And if you guys have ever seen that, it not only is it the first 30 to 40 minutes absolutely boring as hell, but you don't care much about the characters. Good film. I like the film, but yeah, pretty boring.
And then all those people who sort of helped mold those characters and help mold the franchise were nowhere to be found when the prequel trilogy was made. And what was the big sort of negative for those films?
I'd always say lack of collaboration. I mean,
the stiffness of the characters, wooden characters, bland environments. There was no life.
Yeah, no, very.
Kind of like this conversation right now, Robert. I gotta say,
didn't get enough screen time. Let's just face it, okay?
It's true. Can we just notice like Robert really looks like an executive producer right now? He's just got the cup of coffee. It's like he has a soundboard there and he's just not showing everybody.
Robert looks like Robert McCallum. No, Rick McCallum. Robert looks like Rick McCallum right now.
I need a cigarette and I need to cuss every other word. To Rick McCallum.
For me, it's so dense. Every single thing has so many things going on. Every single frame.
The stream is so dense. There's so many things going on.
Oh,
hey,
God.
I got a question for Star Wars only, if you guys don't mind. Earlier, we were talking before. Well, a few minutes ago, we were talking about J.J. Abrams, and Star Wars only said something about Daisy Ridley, and I'd heard that before as well. That her comments that Rian Johnson had received. Something from a draft is what you said from J.J. Abrams. I think people are that phrase too literally. I think there's probably no chance full screenplay draft, a full draft. I mean, when people say draft, they mean a full screenplay. I think at most he submitted a treatment, and then Rian Johnson received the treatment, and then went to Kathleen Kennedy and said, I can't turn this treatment into a script. And so I came up with my own ideas and so it wasn't like he threw out a concrete draft or anything like that.
No, I think you're 100% right.
Okay. But that also, with that established, that kind of makes it interesting for me because, as has been mentioned, Abrams was kind of supposed to be the architect of that. And he still remained on the projects as executive producer. And like I said, he said at one point that Johnson's script was so good, he's jealous that he wasn't directing it. I'm curious at what point
he never actually said that. Greg Grunberg said that. J.J. Abrams never said that. Said that this script is so good, I wish I was doing it myself. He never said that.
So Grunberg was quoting Abrams, or Grunberg just said that that's what he was thinking about it?
He was supposedly quoting Abrams and spreading that around.
That's probably pretty credible.
Yeah,
though,
but we're in Jeffrey world here. Unless he hears it from the person, it doesn't exist. It's not real. So that's Jeffrey world.
Well, let's say I certainly leave open the possibility that was just bullshit or bull crap Hollywood. Happy talk trying to hype up the new movie. I mean,
I have the article right here. It's from the Washington Post.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible.
It's let's see, December 23rd, 2015. His longtime friend Greg Grunberg told the Washington Post that Abrams reacted that way after recently reading the Episode 8 script. He read it and said something he never, ever says. He said, "It's so good, I wish I were making it." He may have said something one time on Lost with Damon Lindelof, the co-creator, but I never heard him express regret like that. So these words never actually came out of Abrams' mouth in any quoted source.
That's true, but that still sounds very credible to me.
Yeah, but
you're talking about
Greg
Grunberg.
Yeah, but he's the quoted source. He's a close friend.
He's like JJ's best friend.
Yeah, they've been
friends. So what? So
childhood.
Friends can't make something up?
I highly doubt he made that up because I'm pretty sure JJ would have called him like, dude, that fucking sucks, dude. Why would you ever don't ever say that in public again?
Yeah.
Like you see, it Luke's sucking on tits, dude. You think I want to be credited with this shit? There's a reason I'm an executive producer and not making the film.
It sucks as bad as sucking on six-titted monsters. Oh wait, that actually happened, didn't it?
It happened in the movie.
I wonder if JJ said it sarcastically, where like Greg was like, "Hey man, what'd you think about no spoilers or anything, but what'd you think about?"
I wish I was you.
Yeah, he's like, dude, it was so good. I almost I almost wish I was making it. And then he's like, wow, I can't wait to tell everybody about this. Yeah.
And then JJ's like, did you not see the eye roll when I said it?
He's like, it was 3 a.m. in the morning. We've just been drinking. You think I cared? You think I gave 2 fucks about what they did? He wasn't even making episode 9 at the time. You think he really gave a fuck about what was going to happen in the story? He's like, I did my part. I'm gone. Peace out. Good luck with that Star
I'm
Wars
worried
shit.
about my Warner Brothers contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm over here trying to do Spider-Man.
I'm just saying, based on the Rise of Skywalker, that those statements don't line up at all. And I don't. Is it so crazy that I don't trust Greg Grunberg?
I don't know why you don't. I don't know why you don't trust him.
Let me ask you this: do you trust him more than Doomcock?
Wait, here's the thing: where the fuck was Snap Wexley in The Last Jedi? Right?
Nowhere to be found.
That's why you got to trust Gunny.
Grunberg, he has a bone to pick.
He's got.
He was promised he was going to be the next. What is it? Wedge Antilles, and it didn't play out, man. He was gone for that second episode.
That's why JJ said he wished he made it because he knew Greg wasn't going to be in it, so he's just poking fun at him. He was just like, "Yeah, bro, you're not in it. That's why I want to make it."
He was supposed to die in The Force Awakens.
Who? Snap Wexley?
Yeah,
he was.
He got what he wanted in number 3. Okay,
exactly.
So it's perfectly fine.
He was supposed to film dialogue where he's saying, "I'm hit, I'm going down," which they put in Rise of Skywalker. He said he refused. He said he refused to film those lines.
It's widely known that he got on there because he was a Star Wars fan,
and he told me,
and JJ's his friend, and they're like, yeah, I'll give you a part in the movie. You know, he's such a big fan. Why not?
And the reason I believe that is because that's basically what happened to Snap Wexley in the 3rd movie.
Yeah.
So we'll also look at oh god, who was the guy from Lost? The guy from Lord of the Rings that was in
Dominic Monaghan.
Dominic Monaghan. Yeah, he won. He got the part because they had a bet on a soccer match, is what JJ had said.
Yeah, JJ does do that. He
gives it. Well, the thing is, he gives his friends parts. I mean, Kerry Russell, Dominic Monaghan, Greg Grunberg. I mean, it's like, he gives his friends.
That's not unusual for
it's not. No, it's not. It's not. Well, there was
with De Niro.
Well, there was a theory. And I'm doing air quotes on this one. A theory that was put out there by our typical masked villains, or I don't know, Midnight's Edge, whatever the fuck they're up to these days. It's just they were saying like, nobody wants to be in this movie. The Last Jedi was so bad that JJ can't fill it with anyone other than TV actors, right? And people who know him. And that was a theory that was going around for a bit.
Wow.
And it's like, no, I'm pretty sure they could get like anyone they want to get in there. It's Star Wars. Like, people are just going to do it,
right?
It's.
They got Harrison Ford back.
Yeah, because JJ called him and said, I have this idea. And Ford's like, huh.
Ford was like, how much you going to pay me?
You got Billy D. Williams.
Yeah. I will say, I do love the story, though, about how they got Ford to set. Like, they flew him on a private plane to London, and they got like hush hush. That was pretty cool. But imagine this with stagecraft technology, right? They won't need to do that anymore.
No.
They just do it all on the soundstage in LA.
I did meet Harrison Ford at his home in Bel Air about maybe 18 years ago.
Did you kidnap him to make a fan film?
So it was very weird. I worked for the city of Los Angeles at the time doing inspections, and I was out by his gate. I had no idea it was his house, and this big rolling gate, chain link fence opens up, and I think it was around the time when people were making fun of him for the earring. I think, remember when he had the one earring in his ear and everybody was just giving him
1997.
It had to be around that time. And so the gate rolls open and out comes Harrison Ford in a yellow t-shirt and very, very small gray gym shorts and sandals, flip-flops. And I look over and it's Harrison Ford. I'm like, oh shit. God, oh my God, Indiana Jones. So he's standing there and he's looking at me, just kind of nods his head like, hey, how you doing? I go, how you doing, sir? And then he asked me some questions about his water meter thing. And I just, I can't remember exactly what he asked me. And then before I go, I'm like, oh, is there anything else I can do for you? He goes, no. He goes, have a good one. I go, you too. And I got back in my car and I was shaking. I was so damn nervous meeting Harrison Ford.
I probably would have been the same way.
Oh no,
That's
it was.
Cool story.
It was really cool. And then fast forward years later, I got to see him. I was like 5 feet from him when he did the Blade Runner 2 press thing over at the IMAX offices.
Oh, cool!
But that's
Very
my
cool.
Harrison Ford story.
I remember that.
Shit if you asked him a question and he'd be like, Oh yeah, hey, by the way, about the water meter, like out of fucking nowhere, just like, coming back to it.
I wouldn't have been able to answer. I'm like, oh shit, I don't know.
But so you could have thrown in, and it's like, well, we can work on this water meter for you. I just need a hydro spanner.
He's been like, oh, dick, get this guy out of my yard.
I think it actually works. The word's hydros in it. So
awesome.
Oh, you're a show off, Robert.
Robert is a show off.
Show off.
Hey, I'm not the guy on social media with photos with all these celebrities. Have you ever seen that on Lewis's Facebook or any of his social media?
Yeah. Every time Lewis, you name dropper. Every time I talk about this, I interviewed that guy. It was great. I'll show you the video later. I'll show you the video later. I'll show you the video later.
Here's something J.J. Abrams actually said about Episode 8.
Actually, do we have a verified source, Jeffrey? I can't believe
it's J.J. Abrams himself from Wired.
Where are you reading it from, Jeffrey?
Wired.
I need a link. I need a link, Jeffrey.
Yeah,
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it. I need a link.
I don't believe it.
It's fake news. If it doesn't come from Dubincock, it's fake news.
Can you send me a DM?
Why?
How do I know it's your team?
I have it right because I have it right here. I'm reading.
J.J. Abrams.
The script for 8 is written. I'm sure rewrites are going to be endless, like they always are. But what Larry and I did was set up certain key relationships, key questions, conflicts, and we knew where certain things were going. We had meetings with Rian and Ram Bergman, the producer of 8. They were watching dailies when we were shooting our movie. We wanted them to be part of the process, so to make the transition to their film as seamless as possible, I showed Rian an early cut of the movie because I knew he was doing his rewrite and prepping. And as executive producer of 8, I need that movie to be really good. Withholding serves no one and certainly not the fans, so we've been as transparent as possible. Rian has asked for a couple of things here and there that he needs for his story. He's an incredibly accomplished filmmaker and an incredibly strong writer. So the story he told took what we were doing and went in the direction that he felt was best, but that is very much in line with what we were thinking as well. But you're right, that will be his movie. He's going to do it in the way he sees fit. He's neither asking for nor does he need me to oversee the process.
And
so that's from Abrams' own mouth.
That confirms.
So it sounds like what that's saying is okay. At some point, the control of the overarching, what the episode 8 was going to be, shifted from his control to Johnson's control. I mean, he was going to write the script, but I'm just fascinated to wonder about what that internal deliberation was like. Did Kathleen Kennedy override him? Did Abrams just kind of, roll with it and then only realize later it was a disaster?
Well, Kathleen Kennedy gave complete creative control to Rian Johnson for the movie. That's the thing.
Yes.
JJ could only suggest things, even though he had the title. Let's be honest. What does it take to be called an executive producer nowadays? Not much. Okay. I know JJ was part of, obviously, the whole thing with The Force Awakens and stuff, but he wasn't, that title didn't say he had creative control at all. He's just like, this is what I have if you want to use it. And Rian said,
true, but they did pitch him as the architect of the trilogy. He's going to be handing it off to someone else for these.
Yeah, they did kind of lie about that one. I think the plan was to have 3 separate directors. What I really think happened with The Last Jedi in the confusion between 7 and 8 and 8 to 9 is the rewrites. Don't forget, episode 8 was supposed to come out in May of 2017. It came out in December of 2017. 8-month delay due to script rewrites by Rian Johnson. Since it was so late into the process, I'm pretty confident JJ had already kind of zoned out or went to go do something else during that time. So at the time of this quote, he even said that there was going to be rewrites for the episode, and that's exactly what happened. So I think the rewrites really changed things, and one of the reasons I believe that is because Rian Johnson said one of the reasons he rewrote the script for episode 8 is because his first draft on it was actually more focused on the original trilogy characters and not the new characters. But due to the positive reaction to the new characters, he went back and rewrote the script to focus more on them. And I think that's why you see such a disconnect between them and the first film and the second film of this trilogy. I think it's, I said this in the last
finale the finale is sort of, Rey is sort of out of the picture.
And what, the finale of what, 9 or 8?
Of Last Jedi.
I don't think she's out of the picture. I think she's just
She's kind of passive. She's kind of a passive protagonist in the finale.
No, they kind of gave her the same thing like with Luke in Empire Strikes Back. He was doing Luke in the Empire Strikes Back. Think about it.
Luke destroyed the Death Star.
Not in the Empire Strikes Back.
But, in A New Hope.
I'm talking about the Empire Strikes Back. What they did in Last Jedi, they kind of mirrored it there a little bit too, because Luke left Hoth. Jeffrey.
He confronts Darth Vader at the end of the movie.
Jeffrey. He left Hoth, went on his own journey with Yoda, and was training, and then he left because his friends were in danger and came back to save them.
Right.
Rey went on her own journey to find Luke Skywalker, trained with him, then came back at the end to save her friends.
Didn't train with him, and then came back at the end.
I said the same basic outline. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same kind of arc.
Okay, it's the same arc. So
I'm talking about the finale, the third act of the movie. The finale.
Yeah, she came back and saved her friends, and Luke saved his friends on Cloud City.
No, he did. No, he did not.
What do you mean?
I'm saying the finale of the movie. The finale of the movie is Luke Skywalker confronting Darth Vader and finding out about their blood connection.
But that was all the third act of the movie.
No, but his intention was to save his friends, because when he's leaving, Yoda's telling him, "Don't go," and he says,
exactly why.
Darth Lunga, you're being contrarian just for the sake of being contrarian.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Jeffrey.
That's irony.
I don't believe it, Jeffrey.
What are you arguing here? What's your argument?
He's basically just saying that Rey and Luke kind of followed the same pattern, and that she was
not really. I'm talking about in the finale itself. Rey is sort of a passive character, and it's more on Luke Skywalker and Kylo Ren.
Well, I mean, the final confrontation between those two, but
that's what I'm referring to.
But Luke also says at the end that he is not the last of the Jedi, and so it's basically him passing that torch on the Rey. Awful film, but I mean, if I'm going to defend it, I'm going to fucking defend it. He's passing that torch on the Rey.
That's not a good defense.
Well, I mean, you're asking me to defend a pile of shit with a fucking spray can. I mean, yeah, there's only so much I can really do here.
I'm just saying. It seems there were a lot of flaws for the approach to this film.
There's a lot of flaws to the approach for the trilogy. First things first, they hired fucking Rian Johnson to write.
Rian Johnson other than that movie, he's a pretty esteemed, beloved director.
Yeah,
director, not a writer though. I think he's an overrated writer.
Looper was a piece of shit story wise.
What?
You know?
Looper, man, I love Looper.
Yes, it did. No, okay. Here's the thing with Looper: great premise, terrible execution.
Okay, right? Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
like it. No, it's like Brick. Brick was good. I will totally give it to Brick.
Looper was very all right, but
Looper was
very well received.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, both of them were pretty well received.
I don't recall Looper being very well received.
Looper was not a financial 93%.
That doesn't surprise me.
It was a critical.
God! Looking at Rotten Tomatoes as if it actually means a goddamn thing.
Matt, listen. The people in Hollywood, when it had good critical acclaim, people liked it. We're not talking about general audiences here. You know
what's the cinema score of Looper?
We'd have to look it up. Let's look it up.
Dog shit.
Tons of people like it.
Well, I know Looper. Yeah, Looper wasn't like a huge box office blockbuster, but I remember hearing nothing but good reviews about it.
B+ is not good for cinema score though. That's actually pretty low.
It's also very low budget.
Looper on Tomatoes is 93% fresh.
Yeah, but is that with just critics? What's the audience score?
That's with
that's
the audience score is 82. 82 off of 180,000.
Yeah,
but my argument was the critics enjoyed it. I didn't say anything about the audience. I said it was not.
Well, okay. Here's the biggest problem with Looper is that it ends up like just destroying its own way, right? So it introduces telekinesis for no other purpose than just to kill that one dude in that cool way. Like, it doesn't have a purpose in the movie. It like the time travel, that part makes a lot of sense. Bruce Willis going back and then trying to kill the younger guy, that makes a lot of sense. But then the whole telekinesis thing made no sense, and it just distracted. Knives Out was really good.
It was all right.
He wrote that movie.
He did. But Knives Out is it's an ensemble piece set in virtually one location. It's a bunch of talking heads. If you really look at it, it's just a bunch of people sitting down and talking.
But you're saying your argument is that he's a bad writer.
Yes,
I think he's argument as well.
I think you're making
we can all agree on that.
I disagree.
He's a good director. He was acclaimed. I disagree too. He was acclaimed for Brick. He was acclaimed for Luke. His problem isn't that I haven't seen Knives Out, but you guys are saying that was pretty good. I think he's a bad writer. It's that he's a writer extremely ill-suited to come into a franchise like this, especially a traditional franchise.
I would agree with.
I can agree with that.
He's an iconoclastic artist who likes to tear things down. That it's the worst type of person to bring into Star Wars.
He's like Paul Feig with Ghostbusters.
Right. I mean, I honestly think that
Brothers Bloom was he wrote that and directed that film. That was also well received. So
here's the thing.
Not a big movie.
Let's be fair, especially when you think about his quotes about not liking world building. Okay, the failures that we could say in writing that Jarbo was bringing up when it comes to Looper is because Looper is the kind of movie that, believe it or not, you have to do some kind of world building for it to work. Even though it's a self-contained universe, there's still some kind of world building you have to do. And Ryan admits he does not like world building. He likes making a 2-hour experience. And the movies that they're in, like Knives Out, where it's a bunch of talking heads in a room, that's where he excels. It's that kind of environment where there's very few rules to deal with. It's just people, characters, emotions. That's what he wants to concentrate on. And that's why he failed in something like a Star Wars movie.
You know, interestingly enough, I thought Knives Out had some world building elements.
What are you going to world build with people in a room? There's really nothing to build there.
The Daniel Craig character.
That's not world building. It's character building. There's a difference.
Yeah, considering that 3 or 4 times in Knives Out, Daniel Craig is like, I don't know why I was hired.
Yeah, it
right.
Sounds like
someone hired him or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know why I'm here.
I think Ryan is a writer who thinks he's a lot smarter than he is when it comes to the scripts. That's my big complaint about his writing.
I do want to say though, his Ozymandias of Breaking Bad, fucking excellent.
Yeah,
the directing on The Last Jedi was good. The directing
doesn't mean he's a bad writer though.
Yeah, well, no.
I mean, you can separate the two, though.
Yeah, I think he made some. I think he made some grievous errors with Last Jedi. I think if he brought me onto the film and let me give him some good feedback.
Oh God,
no, because I can see where the good movie is there. It could have been.
I can see where the film goes if Jeffrey was directing it.
Would you like Rain Man? That script that was going on here, Jeffrey.
Pretty much, yeah. I would have doctored that script, and so it would have been like a $2 billion movie instead of a 1.3.
If Jeffrey did it, Ray would come to Kylo and say, "You need to come back to the light side of Force," and Kylo would say, "That doesn't exist. It's not real."
No,
I wouldn't have killed. I wouldn't have killed off
on that.
There's no light side of Force.
I wouldn't have killed off Luke that way.
Yeah.
I still don't get why they didn't just like cut that shot by 5 seconds in the edit bay and go whoopsie.
I mean, they probably should have.
That was what Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy said. Okay.
Well, no, I think that's what Ryan wanted, and Kathy was like, whatever.
Okay, whatever you want, Ryan. Whatever you want.
But when Colin Trevorrow wanted to come in and bring Luke back, Kathleen Kennedy said, "No, we're not bringing him."
There's no
one of her boys.
No, there's no evidence of that.
No, he said it on a podcast. He actually. God damn it, Jeffrey. He actually he went on a podcast and this is legit. I saw the transcript for it. It was online, but he did go on a podcast and he said that he wanted to bring back Luke Skywalker, and Kennedy told him, "No, we're not bringing him back." And there were other creative issues going on between the both of them, and that's why he stepped away. But he absolutely said his plan and his treatment was to bring back Luke Skywalker, and she told him, "No, you can't bring him back."
Robert, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I had heard that report too. I know what you're talking about, but my understanding, and maybe I'm wrong, that's why I'm asking. My understanding was that Luke was going to play a critical role in Episode 9, but that was because he was working on the script before Johnson's script was finalized and before it was decided that Luke was going to be killed off. So in Trevorrow's original script, my impression was, and again maybe I'm wrong, was that that Luke didn't die in Chapter 8 originally, and so that's what Trevorrow was working off of. Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, that part I don't know if that was the issue and some of the butting heads creatively with him and Lucasfilm or Kathleen Kennedy. That part I don't know, but I the only portion I read, and I've never listened to the actual podcast. I only read the transcript from it
there's no evidence that's real.
Hey, here we go.
Okay, well, I'll play devil advocate here.
Send me the podcast. You said yourself you haven't heard it.
No.
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Right? It doesn't exist.
I absolutely would not be saying this if I believed.
You weren't dreaming?
That this does not exist.
The Duel of the Fates draft it got leaked, and he is not alive in that script.
No, he said that he wanted to bring him back. If you Google it, Google his name with podcasts relating to Luke Skywalker or creative differences, however you want to Google it. But it is there, and he did say that was one of the decisive issues.
Garbo, have you ever heard of this?
I don't fully. I remember something about that. Like I don't remember like Kennedy saying no, but I mean, I'm not saying like I know I probably would have.
I've heard fan theories about this.
Yeah,
there's been fan theories for everything.
Okay, now I got to search for it.
I can't find it myself, and I'm normally pretty privy to these kind of things. I do remember hearing this. What I do know about some of the reasons he was let go is due to script conflicts. He couldn't get a draft going the way Lucasfilm wanted it to go. Him and Derek Connolly wrote one that they didn't really like, so they brought in Jack Thorne to rewrite the script. That didn't go well at all. And what ended up happening was apparently he even became a little bit unmanageable on set because after the success of Jurassic World, apparently he had a big ego about him, and a lot of the Lucasfilm executives did not like that. And one of the other reasons was I think his movie that came out during kind of the process, Book of Henry, I think is what it's called.
Yeah,
was a disaster. And that was kind of leading to the process.
Okay, so there is a quote that he did give to the Wall Street Journal that I think might be either the basis for what Robert's saying, but it definitely gives us an idea. So he was asked about why he left, and he says, and this is from 2018. He goes,
"What's your source?"
My source is Den of Geek, and it's referencing an interview he gave with Wall Street Journal. Well, okay, sorry. So a couple things here. It says, according to Wall Street Journals, okay, let's make sure. According to the Wall Street Journal, both Trevorrow and Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy were unhappy with the draft. Trevorrow asked for another shot at the script, but Kennedy declined, preferring to write the ship quickly with a Star Wars veteran instead of giving the Jurassic World director more time. So that's according to Wall Street Journal. Let's see if I can bring up the article here without needing. I have to subscribe. God damn it! And it's from Ben Fritz, who does have connections to Lucasfilm. Like I know he does. He's also the guy who got PewDiePie, in trouble back in 2017. So fuck him to the end of time and back, because that motherfucker cost me about $100,000. So anyway, let me see here. Let me see if I can.
Wait, were you supposed to partner with PewDiePie?
No, I was on track to make $100,000 in 2017 because of how good my channel was doing. And when the adpocalypse started, because the Wall Street Journal got their heads shoved up their uncut smegma-filled foreskins.
Oh, you're saying that triggered the adpocalypse?
Yeah, that triggered the adpocalypse and therefore cut into my revenue and cost me a lot of fucking money. And yes, I'm still upset about that.
You have every right to be.
Because I bought a fucking house because I thought things were going to be better. So yeah. Anyway, okay, hold on.
You and Darkside Phil.
Yeah, well, yeah, and we live not far from each other, which is actually really funny.
Robert's still searching the deep web over there.
I'm looking. Actually, I was able to bring up an archive of that article. So it says here, this is from the Wall Street Journal article. It says Colin Trevorrow, the director of Jurassic World, initially tapped to helm the next Star Wars movie 2019's episode 9 was dismissed after Miss Kennedy grew unhappy with his work on the script, said a person with knowledge of his work on the movie. So that is the quote right there from the Wall Street Journal, who is considered access media, who does have intel. So, Jeffrey doesn't get his direct source, but Is it
saying, though, the disagreement was because he wanted to bring back Luke Skywalker?
Well, okay, we have to also look at another quote that Trevorrow gives. It's not directly saying that, but this is a read between the lines situation, which I know is difficult for you. So he does say, let me find the quote here. Later on in the interview, when asked about, leaving it all behind, he says, I don't want to talk about it too much. Oh, no, sorry. He says he doesn't want to sway people's opinion of the films. That's why. But the quote here finally is, he goes, I got the opportunity to tell a story that is a celebration of everything I believe in. I got to tell it to George Lucas, and I got to tell it to Luke Skywalker. And those experiences I will cherish for the rest of my life. So read between the lines on that one. He is saying he had his script with Derek Connolly, and he shared it with George Lucas and Mark Hamill. But he didn't say Mark Hamill. He said, and Luke Skywalker, meaning that Luke would have been a central character to his story.
That makes a good point.
Yeah, that's a bit of a leap.
That is not a leap, dude.
That's speculation.
Yeah, you wouldn't share it with him if he wasn't going to be in it.
You wouldn't share it.
Yeah, he's in the Duel of the Fates. He's just not. He's not a central. He's not back from the dead.
No, but he's still an important role.
I guarantee you, it was like his first script. I guarantee, or the first draft was like. I'm
sorry.
I think you just don't want to believe it. This is as clear as reading between the lines in regard.
Show me the script. Show me the script, and I'll believe it.
So
Star Wars only. If you got any.
Give me this draft.
I do have some inside scoop. Actually, I have a copy of the script right here. This was actually messaged to me by Derek Connolly himself. A guy who does a lot of work with Colin Trevorrow. No,
Star Wars only couldn't even said that with a straight face.
Listen,
where is this podcast? What podcast was this, Robert? Though
the podcast thing, I don't think exists. If I'm being honest, I think that is something that was put
Robert,
out
you're
through the
giving us
grapevine.
fake news.
No, I'm gonna thoroughly look for it because I remember reading it, and I didn't. I remember reading about it, and it was all over social media. I mean, and the usual spots.
Robert, it's Mandela effect.
It's not the Mandela effect, because I do remember this, but I think what happens is, as per usual in the Star Wars fandom, we get a piece of news, we're hyped about it for a week, and then it's forgotten for the ages.
Yeah, I remember reading it, and then I let it go. I didn't even write about it for Nuke the Fridge because I didn't really jump into it. I had a bunch of other stuff going on, but I remember I didn't really go in depth with it, but I do remember reading it. That always stood out to me that he was on, and it was already a couple years later, so that he was on this podcast talking about it. And God forgive me because I can't remember the name of the podcast, or I would that's what I would reference. But I do remember seeing it.
I think to make it official and to know it's actually a verifiable source, I think what we need is a video of the interview happening of the podcast. I need a picture of the day's newspaper. I need to actually see.
You have to hold it up like that.
You guys are giving me such a hard time.
We need of this audio only.
We're not giving you a hard time. We're just because you're making good points about
verified substance.
No, you're not. But that's
this world that relies on this tweet says fake garbage. Let's just rage about that. Because someone wrote something on Twitter, so we'll just go with that and make that our whole argument. To me, that's not it's not substance,
Well, no, and you're right. I mean, that's what we do a lot, especially in the Star Wars fandom, where you'll have a YouTuber who claims he has a lot of inside sources, or Twitter people who have inside
Doomcock.
You read my mind. The guy makes so many verified sources about Lucas not being invited to Episode 9 premiere, or what else? He got a 25% cut of the films if they use original trilogy characters, or J.J. Abrams has a cut of Episode 7. There was test screenings, or Episode 9, and there was test screenings for Episode 9. all this stuff, like you hear this, or Kathleen Kennedy being banned from the set of Mandalorian season 2. It's stuff like that where you're like, dude, your source must be fucking Kathleen Kennedy herself to get all this. Like, we did different departments this guy must be going through to get all this inside scoop. I mean, Jesus Christ, the guy knows everyone at Lucasfilm. But
well, like that whole thing about
on Podchaser right now, Robert, and it shows Colin Trevorrow has been a guest on. He's had 3 appearances. And
what is it?
Colin Trevorrow's had 3 appearances on podcasts per Podchaser. One was this show called Happy, Sad, Confused back in 2017. Then on Jurassic Cast in 2015, and Chris Pratt and Colin Trevorrow in 2015. So the latest one was 2017 on a show called Happy, Sad, and Confused.
That probably would be the one to go for, but I doubt that would reveal too much because he was let go. When was it in 2017?
June 15th.
Yeah, no, he was still involved. They let him go in August. August is when he left, and then I think but a week or 2 later they brought in JJ. So not anything.
That would have been too soon.
Here, that Doomcock rumor where he's like, okay, the reason Lucasfilm is downplaying original trilogy or original trilogy characters is because Lucas gets like a royalty or something. So they're only focusing on new characters, which is like, that makes no sense.
It does make no sense. Not only did they buy the franchise, that's not how intellectual property works.
But isn't that, or was it just the same? Is that the same false rumor, or is this true? Because they were saying the same thing about Star Wars, about how Star Trek, how that's why Discovery or even that's why Kelvin is like not the original continuity. Because
I knew there were some divides between Paramount and CBS.
Big money stuff going on.
Yeah, that's like 2 companies.
It's a different situation though.
Because Lucas kind of was the sole proprietor of Lucasfilm.
Look at Rogue One.
It's the same concept in that one of the reasons why for Discovery they do everything new, and for Kelvin do everything new is because of the merchandising. Because if they do merchandising on a new version of Star Trek, the production company making that, CBS and whoever the movie studio is for the movie, they get money off the merchandising. If they did it in the original continuity, then Paramount or whoever the source material, whoever owns the rights would get it, not the actual movie producer. So it is they're changing the characters in part because of the financial setup, because it's more financially advisable to do that.
Here's my response to that. Like, not only does Disney wholesale own Lucasfilm and all of Star Wars, like look at Rebels, which was on for several years, had original trilogy characters. Look at Solo.
Rogue One.
I mean, Rogue One was 2016. Solo was 2018. Was set in like that original trilogy kind of era. You had the Empire. You had Stormtroopers. You had TIE Fighters, Star Destroyers. You had that in Rogue One too. And I mean, so I guess the big argument is because Galaxy's Edge is sort of set. It's sort of secret trilogy. Like, I mean, you're making new movies when you kind of want to set your new theme park kind of around. Like, it makes sense to kind of set in that time period, does it not?
Yeah, it does. Sure. And when they were planning out Galaxy's Edge, they said they wanted to make it for the new films because they didn't want the memories to be the old.
And merchandise, we see tons of merchandise for the original trilogy characters all the time. So it's and while there aren't like a lot of original trilogy characters in Mandalorian, it's sort of set more in that, it's set closer to that time period, and you still see sort of remnants of the original trilogy. Like he goes to the Mos Eisley Cantina in season 1.
Let me clarify. I wasn't saying that for Star Trek that is true. I was just saying that it's possible, just not for Star Wars. I wasn't saying that they did change them. I was just saying that that could never happen. But I'm saying these
as examples because, like, Geeks and Gamers, the Jeremy Dude, Doomcock, they run those stories, and people who are so caught up in their rage, they go along with that, even though like wait a minute, there's tons of evidence proving that's sort of like either hokey or even if it is true that Disney is still exploiting and using the original trilogy characters Lucas created. So it's sort of, to me, it's like it doesn't pass the smell test purely.
No, it doesn't.
I agree with you.
bullshit.
I think that makes sense. I was just saying that the argument that it's technically impossible is probably not accurate. But I agree with you. It's I don't think that they did that. I mean, it would be very weird. They had said from the beginning that when they were buying it from Lucas, it's got to be the whole shebang, and so it would be a very weird, strange contract. Negotiation.
I think the issue here with Star Trek is because Viacom CBS is the rights holder for Star Trek, and they were CBS was more interested in still just promoting original trilogy, not the original series of Star Trek. Sorry.
There was some fights over merchandise and how much percentages, and JJ and Bad Robot just finally said, you know what?
Like Bad Robot was like a co-producer, like they were a co-producer on that film. Like they were basically not like a licensor, but like they were hired, like almost like a hired gun to help bring that trilogy to life. And they couldn't get on, from my understanding, and Abrams has talked about how they couldn't get on the same page. There are interviews of that. So I think that was more what happened there.
He's like, I'd like them to keep making them, but you know what? I'm not being the redheaded stepchild between these two parents fighting. So he just left. Said, forget it, I'm out.
But I mean, I thought what was Star Trek Into Darkness was like a really good film, right? Did any of you see it?
That was the last one.
No,
the third one.
No, that was the second one.
It was. I'm not a Star Trek.
The one with
Star Trek
Benedict
Beyond?
Cumberbatch.
What was the third one? Beyond.
Beyond was the third one.
Yeah, Beyond was a good movie, right?
It was actually it didn't do very well.
Okay. No, it didn't. But like, I thought it was the better. Of the
I liked
sequels.
it. Yeah, I mean, I liked all the Kelvin timeline movies.
But Paramount just didn't market that film, and you had. It was the 50th anniversary, and it was like, man, like, does no one care at all? Like. This is
I went to the 50th anniversary panel at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And it was.
Oh. Yep.
Man down.
What happened?
Matt, I want to hear this story.
Oh, no. I went to the 50th anniversary panel at Comic-Con in Hall H, and it was a snooze fest.
Damn.
And I'm like, you have a new movie coming. Out. It's the 50th anniversary of. I mean, look, it's no Star Wars, but like, okay, like this is a beloved franchise that it's been around for 50 years, and you have the third movie of a new film series. I feel like no one really exploited that. Like
my question is, are we still talking about Star Trek?
Yes.
No.
It's because we're on the Jeffrey show right now.
Yeah.
All right. I think Lewis wants me to wrap it up. Really quick.
That sounds like a personal problem, Robert.
Star Wars only. Star Wars only. Where can we find you?
Oh, dude. You can find me on Instagram. 172,000 on Instagram. That's where I'm mostly known. Either that or my YouTube channel. I make okay documentaries, and I only cover Star Wars. I might change my name soon to Star Wars Occasionally, and just start covering different topics that aren't Star Wars, because why not? Fuck it.
Nice.
And by the way, I put everybody's link.
Star Wars.
What was that?
What would be on tap besides Star Wars? I'm curious.
Oh, MMA, boxing, politics, and movies.
All right.
Nice.
Hey, Star Wars only. Habib versus Tony. What's going to happen?
I think Khabib's going to take him to the ground. Tony's going to cut him off his back, and they're going to stop the fight because of a cut.
Do you think the fight's going to happen?
No. Well, yes, but not in April. I think
not
they're
for
going to delay it.
Not for another. Let's just delay it a year.
Nah, let's delay it till the end of the year.
Lunga, where can we find you, brother?
Twitter at Darth Lunga. My channel, The Great Council. I put everybody's links, by the way, who has YouTube.
I saw that. Thank you.
Lewis. I'll expect a check soon. But yeah, so and The Great Council, the links in there as well. I'm also have my novel on Amazon. You can search Souls of Magic's Dawn on Amazon. And also I do want to say we do have a charity running, the Grey Order. We are doing Grey Order merchandise. All the proceeds are going to the CDP COVID-19 response fund. You can find the website for the merch at grayistheway.com.
Nice.
Bless
Matt?
you for that, Lunga.
Thank you, sir.
Matt Jarbo,
Yes.
where can we find you? Everywhere, I know, but
I too have charity merchandise that's available over on gayistheway.com.
Wow.
So
I'll make sure to Uber that so you can deliver.
Thank you. I accept tips. I'm not saying exactly what
I don't tip.
You know?
Uber drivers. Here's a tip.
Okay, Mr. Pink.
Get another job. There's your tip.
I made pretty good money.
That was good.
But anyway, no, I'm over on 3bucktheater.com and making sure that Lewis is entirely demonetized.
That's your goal for coming on, man, is just demonetizing
No,
Lewis.
I say this on my stuff too.
I say he says it on my channel and I'm not even monetized. So he's just trying to stop me at the get-go. Like I'm not even listening.
Oh, please. I'm funny.
Jeffrey, 401 Mania, where else are you?
On Twitter, you can check me out, Wheeljack83. I like to post about Goblin Slayer, Doom, movies from time to time. Nothing political, because I hate politics. On Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify, you can check out the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. I have a huge atomic bombshell level interview coming out tomorrow. I cannot say the name of this person. My latest interviews were with Gail Kim and Alex Hammerstone, so check those out. And also check out my review of Dark Side of the Ring on the Chris Benoit story, which is debuting on Tuesday, March 24th on Vice TV. I have already seen it, though, and you can check out my full review of this documentary. It is quite possibly the best wrestling-themed documentary I have ever seen.
Nice. You can find all that information on the subdomain idon'tbelieveit.com.
Why.com. Hero Journalism, where can we find you, bro?
Well, mainly at youtube.com/hero journalism, where I do documentary and analysis videos on comic books, video games, movies, and with a strong historical sense whenever I can. Today I just dropped a video where I interviewed legendary Spider-Man artist John Romita, and he reflected back on the very first live-action Spider-Man adaptations.
That's amazing.
From the 1970s TV, yeah. And he actually drops a really cool story in the interview. He tells a story about how the CBS TV show from 1977, the producers actually tried to trick Stan Lee into letting them change the costume, and Stan Lee didn't figure it out until he accidentally mentioned it to John Romita.
Oh, shit.
Romita Sr., right? This has to be
correct.
Senior.
Okay.
Correct.
Nice.
The creator of Mary Jane. Co-creator.
Yep.
All right, gentlemen.
I
believe Lewis is going to be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. I believe that's what he texted me. If he doesn't, oh well, who cares?